Max Verstappen, the youngest Grand Prix winner, three-time world champion who already participates in the GOAT conversation. So what is his driving style that already brought him 3 titles and legendary status? For 5 years, none of his teammates can even get close to the level of his performance. But why? What makes his skill set so special? Today we will break down, take a closer look at each piece and then bring back together the puzzle of Max Verstappen's driving style. Let's go! Each corner starts with braking, and our breakdown will start with braking also. Max Verstappen is a well-defined, proper early braker. He practically never brakes lately, and we usually see it in our lap comparison. For example, Hungary 2023, we were comparing him to Lewis. Just check this huge difference, 20, maybe 25 meters in the corner. But starting braking earlier doesn't mean necessarily being slower, even in the first part of a corner. Braking earlier allows for smoother weight distribution. Weight transfers to the front axle a bit longer, so the shift in balance is not so dramatic. It allows a better control of a car on entrance. As a compensation, braking can be not so intense, and if we go forward, we can actually see that Max Verstappen is not so behind of Lewis Hamilton, and also his car should be settled for a good, proper exit. And also we will see this huge difference in the next corner. This tendency was with Max Verstappen throughout his whole F1 career. Here, for example, year 2018 comparison with Daniel Ricciardo, Azerbaijan GP. In each and every corner we will see Max Verstappen starting braking earlier, losing a time in the first part of the corner and then gaining all the time back in the second part of the corner. And we will see this tendency throughout the whole lap, basically for each and every braking zone, and quite a close result in the end. Of course, it's not always the case. You may find some corners or even some tracks where Verstappen will regularly brake later than his competitors. But still, Max is a bit prone to mistakes when braking later. Some good example is German GP 2019. Now we compare him to Pierre Gasly. We see Max Verstappen braking significantly later, which will actually result in event of an overstear, which appeared roughly in the middle of the corner and resulted in a huge time loss. We actually even see his line being altered throughout the corner, a huge difference between him and Pierre Gasly, so we can safely put Max Verstappen in a bracket of an early breakers and move on. The second key thing I want to mention is Max Verstappen's steering inputs, his work with steering wheel, and I should say that he is also very smooth with his steering inputs. He rarely attacks and demands from the car. He usually have quite stable and steady range of motions. Let's for example check this comparison with Daniel Ricciardo from Mexico 2018. We see them start braking and just check the difference in steering wheel work. Daniel Ricciardo is quite aggressive, he picks the initial angle and holds it for a while Max Verstappen will be very smooth with his input. He adds steering angle, and in the maximum steering position he has actually more steering wheel lock. Good showcase of difference in steering inputs. Daniel Ricciardo looked like had 2 positions, first one and second, while Verstappen was gradually moving throughout the whole steering wheel range. The same thing basically we saw here when changing directions. Max Verstappen was also a bit smoother than Daniel. The third key area for Max Verstappen is his pedal work. And let's divide it into work in fast corners and in slow corners. In fast corners, Max is also pretty reserved with his pedal inputs. You will barely ever see him using some 2 pedals technique or being too aggressive with his brake, so he likes this steady weight redistribution. And we will compare him to Charles Leclerc in Austria 2022. See them approaching the corner. Charles will start braking way later than Max, so a bit more trail braking from him. And check the pedal work, because Max starts braking. We see 2 pedals technique from Charles, while Max only presses 1 pedal at a time. He was braking, boom, then he presses the throttle. Unlike Charles. I can remember maybe once or twice when I actually saw Max Verstappen using 2 pedals technique in any corner. And the same pattern in low speed corners. Nothing overly aggressive, nothing really emotional. In fact, you can even notice sometimes that Max Verstappen doesn't press any pedal in a low speed corner, and for way longer duration than some other competitors. For example, Zandvoort 2023 was comparing him to Alex Albon, and check this part, pretty low speed part of a circuit. Max goes off his pedals while Albon is still using some brakes and even some throttle, and he will stay off the pedals for quite a significant, in racing terms, period of time. You see, this second or 2 seconds is actually quite a long period without pressing any pedal at all. And only from here Albon somewhat joins him in not pressing any pedals. The fourth feature of Max Verstappen's driving style, which got addressed in years 2022 and 2023, he used to absolutely abuse track limits, going as wide as possible on both entry and exit of the corners. Here are some examples. Hungary 2019, we compare him to Pierre Gasly. Significant difference even in this part of a circuit where the grip was not stable due to some previous accidents. And another good comparison, Spain 2021, we compare him to Lewis Hamilton. Absolute maximum track usage by Max Verstappen. By modern standards it will be just a deleted lap time. And you can find this pattern in all earlier Max Verstappen's years. But now we move on to some key features. Now, keystone number 5, and actually the main keystone, is oversteer. Max Verstappen just loves oversteer. And to understand how much he actually loves oversteer, we need to have a quick look in the history of Red Bull car development. The thing is, in year 2016-2017, car was quite an oversteery car, but mainly on the exit of the corner. It had a lot of downforce on the front wing, which was helping the car to rotate under the throttle, which were helping the car to rotate in these fast speed corners, but actually it kept the car quite stable under the braking. But in year 2018, Red Bull started to sort of unleash the front end. The car became way less stable under the brakings, it became more prone to oversteer, which started kind of countering Daniel Ricciardo's driving style, but favoring Max Verstappen's driving style. Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen both like oversteer on the exit of the corner, but Daniel Ricciardo likes things to be stable under the braking, unlike Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen wants his car to be pointy throughout the whole turn, in order for him to be able to start the rotation as early as possible. Some good examples of Red Bull car development, it is Brazil 2019, we compare him to Alex Albon. We see them approaching this turn. Turn is quite remarkable because you brake not on a straight wheel and it shows the dynamic perfectly. As for now, onboards look similar, but check the steering wheel work and car placement from this point. We see Alex Albon is fighting with understeer. He fails to touch the apex, while Max Verstappen is perfectly getting on the apex of the corner and no any visible problems with the car, which results in a huge difference on exit of the corner. And the next example is Bahrain 2021, we compare him to Sergio Perez, quite a similar corner in a third sector. They also brake not on a straight steering wheel. As for now, everything is good, but here's the difference will be significant. We see Perez really struggles with this car. He completely understeers and fails to clip the apex, unlike Max Verstappen. The difference on the exit will actually be huge. Verstappen is able to start the rotation of the car where his teammates are struggling with the car. I guess his brake bias help, it quite rear focused, and he is actually able to handle this oversteer where his teammates need more front focused brake bias and struggle with understeer. So, let's break everything together and draw the whole picture. Max Verstappen is an oversteery driver. He likes oversteer both on braking and on acceleration throughout the whole corner. And every separate keystone that we mentioned before comes in hand. Early braking comes in hand, as super oversteery car needs smoother weight transfer. Non-aggressive pedal work comes in hand for basically the same reasons. Smooth steering comes in hand because you don't want to provoke this extra load on an oversteer car in every part of the corner. And even track usage, making your line as wide as possible, making the radius as big as possible, also comes in hand and suits this picture. Max Verstappen is a master of controlling oversteer throughout the whole corner. And it is actually the hardest way to race. A car that suits this driving style is actually a beast to control. And that's the exact reason why his partners struggle with this same car. Sergio Perez was a huge fan of an understeery car throughout his whole career, and he was gifted an extremely oversteery car as his best car of life. What a destiny, actually. So, this is it. Thank you very much for review, but it was only the first part of Max Verstappen driving style breakdown. In the second part we will cover such topics as wet driving, driving in rain, racecraft, fighting for a position, and of course we will cover some drawbacks of Max Verstappen's driving style. It's not a huge amount of them, but they still take place. See you soon.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces.